We just had a new Silent Hill transmission. It's time to show off the hotly anticipated Silent Hill F, a mysterious original title announced way back in 2022. Little has been known about this project, and now that Silent Hill 2 Remake has been laid to rest, there's been a lot of anticipation for this ambitious new story being told at least a decade before the first Silent Hill game, and halfway around the world, far from the town at the center of the series' stories. There's a lot of interesting imagery in that original trailer, many things tied to Japanese history and the aftermath of the nuclear attacks in World War II. It has the potential to be a really interesting and original story, which I think has a lot of old and new fans at least intrigued. I count myself amongst them. It's been 2.5 years since the reveal of Silent Hill F, and since then not a peep. Hell, I thought the damn thing might eventually be announced as cancelled, but here we are with a 40-minute Konami stream dedicated solely to this title. Looks like this could be a serious big entry in the series, and not just some spin-off title. But never in my life have I heard so much talking about nothing. Seriously, what was that? 'Cause all I heard was 40 minutes of repeating the same vagaries over and over. There's horror in beauty, there's horror in beauty. This is a Japanese game. Music is so important. There's horror in beauty. Oh, the art is so good. The monsters are gonna be scary. The game is so Japanese. Music is important. Did I mention the game is Japanese? Just going around in circles. Why did they even do this transmission if they had nothing to actually show us? Okay, from my perspective as a veteran fan, the top 3 things I care about are 1, the story they want to tell, 2, the gameplay, and 3, making sense of how the hell this happens in Japan when the town of Silent Hill is in the United States. We'll start with point 1, because 1 is the first number in the alphabet. I don't know this writer's work. Like any artist, there are people who love it and people who say it's trash. I'm not going to trust anyone, and I'm certainly not going to trust Konami's judgment after seeing the Silent Hill IP get pinball machined for 2 decades. That being said, I'm totally open to this being an interesting story. I don't know what to expect, and even with a 40-minute presentation, I still have no idea what the game is actually about. Hopefully it's a good story. Even if it makes no sense with Silent Hill as a series, the story they tell could very well be good. Point number 2 is of massive concern to me, because after 2.5 years, it is shocking to me that in this huge feature talking endlessly about the game, not only did they not show any gameplay in the new trailer, they didn't even talk about it, and it makes me not want to use the word game to describe this. I'm starting to get worried that this is going to be another crappy walking simulator like the short message. I worry that we're going to be walking around for 8 to 10 hours, reading notes, watching flashbacks, listening to inner monologues, solving a puzzle here and there, and running away from monsters with no way to defend ourselves. The character has a pipe at one point, but never swings it in the trailer. For all we know, she just uses it to break into areas and do QTEs with enemies to escape them. I'm skeptical about this. Again, I'm not saying the story they tell will be bad because of that. It's a separate thing. But my expectations for this being a good horror video game have plummeted after seeing this presentation that doesn't even mention what we're doing. And point 3, the one that is most important to me, how is this a Silent Hill game if it doesn't take place in Silent Hill? It is possible to tell stories outside the town. We've seen it in Silent Hill 3 and 4, where people connected to the town's history or cult start to experience things that happen in Silent Hill. But the important detail is that there is a connection. Heather had the god inside her. Henry was at the center of events from Walter Sullivan, who was performing the cult ritual to summon God. There are story justifications for the events happening outside of Silent Hill. Then comes along the short message in 2024, introducing something called the Silent Hill phenomenon, where suddenly things can happen anywhere for no actual reason, and we know this is Konami's stupid plan to be able to slap the Silent Hill name on any bullshit they want without it having to make sense in the world of Silent Hill. They already did it with the short message. I worry they're gonna do it here because of this exchange.
でまずサイレントヒルという物語、このタイトルが持つ側面の一つは、サイレントヒルという土地が持つ記憶や物語、痛みやあるいはその土地の暗い歴史 などをかたどったそういうもちろんサイレントヒルという土地の側面、そしてもう一つは登場人物たちの心の闇とか罪とか、あるいはそういったわだかまり葛藤、そういったものを視覚的に描かれた心象世界で対峙していくという、そういう精神世界を描いたテーマ、この2つの面があったわけなんですよね。この前者でなく後者がサイレントヒルであると考えたならば、サイレントヒルは成立するんではないかと考えるに至ったわけです。
To me, this sounds like, who cares if any of this makes sense as a Silent Hill story? What matters is that it's a psychological trauma story like Silent Hill 2, the only story in the first 4 games that didn't talk about the core story of the town's power. If Silent Hill F tells a story, no matter how good it is, and it doesn't have any connection to the town of Silent Hill, its power, or the cult, we will not accept it as a Silent Hill game. If it has nothing to do with the power that causes these situations, then there's no reason for the situations to be happening, and we won't accept people telling us to let it go either. We value the original stories and the mythologies established. We are in the right to not want people further bastardizing it. If they told a story on the moon about people seeing monsters in the fog and they called it Silent Hill, there would be people who eat it up and call any detractors fake fans. If Silent Hill F has nothing to do with Silent Hill, that'll happen. But I hope I'm worried over nothing. Hopefully there's an attempt, even minuscule, to justify why Silent Hill-style situations are happening in Japan in the 1960s. I'm very curious. They could pull it off. I'm skeptical, especially after interviews saying they don't really care about Silent Hill as a physical location, when that's what it is, but we'll see. I'd rather be wrong and get a great Silent Hill story over being able to come here screaming I was right, believe it or not. So yeah, the transmission was incredibly disappointing, uninformative, and uninteresting outside of the actual game footage. The corporate fluffing felt disingenuous, the same vague points were repeated ad nauseum, and it actually made me less excited for what looks to be a very artistically original game. Mayo out.